Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
All right. What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Packers this evening as we're closing in on this much anticipated matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, for the very first time in his career, going up against his former team, the Packers. Going to be an awesome showdown there on Sunday Night Football. Tonight, however, we're going to talk about Devonte Wyatt in pads at practice. I think that's great news. We'll give you a McManus update, a Brandon McManus update. Obviously, he's out there at practice again today and kind of give you an idea of what he did or did not do at practice. We'll also talk about some Micah Parsons, just how big of an impact he's having on this Green Bay Packer team as we lead up to the Pittsburgh game. Jeff Hafley speaking on the DB room. Does he feel like they're where they need to be? Is he as concerned as some of the fan base may be, right? We'll talk about all that. We'll do a full breakdown there. We'll also maybe dive back into the trade rumors that were swirling a little bit earlier today. If you guys didn't catch that, we did an in-depth breakdown of that on the afternoon show, so you can go back and watch that. I'll have it at the end of this show. It'll be on the end screen. You'll have it right there where you can just click on it as well. So, and then if we have time, Tim, we're going to jump into the PFF preview Packers Steelers. Before we do, though, if everybody would do that YouTube stuff for me, take just a quick second, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on the daily. So this is leading up to the Packers Steelers, usually this time of the week. What we'll do, it's kind of a PFF preview, give you all the injury reports, the updates. We'll have you a detailed game plan on how to beat the Steelers by Friday or Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday we'll be doing pregame shows, postgame shows. And then next week we'll do the film breakdown and rinse and repeat. So that's what you get here pretty much in terms of daily content with PTA. So if you're looking for that type of stuff, make sure you hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Tim, how you doing, big dog? I got my Auntie Rona still hanging around here, so you may have to take over here in a minute if I start to hacking. But how you doing?
I got your back, man. Sorry I missed yesterday and this afternoon. Glad to be back talking some ball. You sound a little better than you did at least a few hours ago, so you might be in the turn here.
Yeah, feeling a lot better for sure, man. Yesterday it was just literally couldn't control the coughing, right? And then I don't want to get too detailed. You guys know what it's like. And you're hacking and it's bad. So we're at the
wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
That's right. We're at the wash your hands, wash your butt stage. Now we're at the blood stage right now. You guys know what I'm talking about. When everything you're hacking up got a little bit of that going on. So sorry, too many details, right? And I see Chris is under the weather too. Chris, you didn't catch it from this stream, all right? So just remember about that, buddy.
Man, it's making the rounds. I'm telling you.
And all the way down there in Texas, man. It's wild. Jump from Tennessee to Texas, all the way to Wisconsin. Because you had a little something a couple weeks ago, didn't you, Tim?
Yeah, about a month ago. Ran through, a good half of my family. So glad everyone's doing okay. And you sound like you're getting on the other end of it. The aches and pains are always the last to leave,
Yeah. Let's hit this real quick. This is kind of off cuff, and then we'll jump into the content. Since this is a big topic today, J. Cole 249 says, boy, the FBI ain't playing. Y'all think the NFL's next? I wouldn't rule it out, man. If you guys don't know what's going on there, obviously the NBA has got this. There's a huge investigation the FBI is conducting on the NBA. I think they said there's been 30. Did I understand correctly, Tim? There was 30 arrests or 30 people involved with a few arrests. How do you
like that? Yeah, I didn't. I
saw a little bit blurry.
Yeah, a little bit blurry, but it seems like there's multiple things going on too. It's not necessarily directly tied to like sports betting or things like that, but basically illegal gambling activities. So yeah, I don't know how many people were arrested. I like to wait a little bit, get all those details out, and then make up our mind. But it's looking like 30 plus people involved.
Based off what the feds are saying, 31 people involved. There have been arrests, including, I think, Chauncey Billups. Now, he was a coach, right? Am I thinking right? He was actually coaching.
Coach and former player, yeah.
Yeah. I knew he was a former player, but I didn't realize he was actually coaching now. So that's kind of a big deal. And like Jayco says, the mob is involved as well. So anytime all four of the major families get mentioned, you perk up a little bit like, all right, maybe it's time to break out the Sopranos again. Go back and watch that a time or two, right? But anyway.
You know what they're all saying, right? They're all saying about Chauncey. They're just saying
he was the best guy around.
He did nothing wrong. Yeah. Nah, but the big thing there for me is like, listen, we knew this was going to happen once gambling got completely embedded in with sports. You're going to have people that break the rules, test the rules, stretch the rules, all that stuff, right? So it is what it is. And again, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Jay, bring it up, though. I'm glad you did, buddy, because it is a big story. And right as we went live, I was reading that it sounds like, depending on who you trust, who you believe, I want to say it was the New York Post was saying that LeBron name getting attached now, and you guys know that's their golden goose in the National Basketball Association. So it sounds like he had a family member sell information about his injury, knowing he wasn't going to play, and then lo and behold, they went and put a big wager on that and came out on top is what it sounds like. So anyway,
I had to put the Stephen A pick up while you were talking about LeBron,
Oh, that's beautiful, by the way. Yeah. And Holmes MD1 says, leave the gun, take the cannoli. There you go, man. Everybody knows exactly what we're talking about. So
I like Turt McGirt said, check Brad Allen.
Yeah,
let's start going over these dirt bags. Let's get it together.
Who's our other guy? The one that I said looked like he was off the episode of Reno 911. What's that cat's name, man?
Oh, that's Ronnie Torbert.
Ron Tolbert, right? Is that what it is? Tolbert? Yeah.
Torbert. T-O-R-B-E-R-T. Yep.
Yeah. That dude got them birth control glasses on all the time. You ain't getting nobody pregnant wearing that prescription. You know what I'm saying, man? Tim glasses look smooth. I can't pull it off. My head's too big, but so is Ron's. I'll just say that. All right. But let's move it along here. So Devonte Wyatt back at practice. It was Ryan Wood who tweeted out this video here. Devonte Wyatt is practicing for a second straight day, this time in pads. A very good sign. Tim, I got to be honest, man. Yesterday I was kind of trying to curb the enthusiasm. Like, all right, he was back at practice, but I didn't see him hitting anything. And now you see him in pads looking like they're actually testing it. Do you think there's a realistic shot Devonte Wyatt plays this week, man?
Heavy D in the house. I hope so. But again, we've been down this road, 10 or 20 times before, right? If it means him having a setback and missing more time, then I say no. If he's good to go, we're going to need all hands on deck against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. So, it's no joke. We haven't won a game there since 1970. So we need everyone we can. And especially in the middle, it's just good to see him out there, even if it is hitting tackling dummies and, kind of limited or, I think he was limited, right? He wasn't full participant. He was limited today. I'm sure we'll hit on that.
It's good. Yeah, we'll hit on it here in a minute for sure.
Getting them back, and good to see the icy white helmets. So there's a little insight, right? Looks like the Pack is going to wear the all whites on the road this Sunday.
Yeah, and he was limited today, and yet it has been confirmed they're going to go with the whiteout uniforms, or the winter warning uniforms. Winter warming. Yeah, and
the reason maybe Sunday Night Football. Let's go.
They're going to do that because the Steelers are wearing their throwbacks and they got the yellow helmet. So, and I've seen people bashing it. I kind of like that stuff, man. I mean, it's not like
we'd wear the 1923 throwbacks on the road and, have a throwback game. But, I like the look, though. We're the all whites. The players love it. It's a icy white look, winter warning game. Makes sense.
Yeah. And listen, no matter what uniform they wear, if Devonte Wyatt's out there, he's going to look good in it. I know Micah Parsons is excited about potentially getting him back. Ryan Wood also tweeted this out. Micah Parsons on the impact getting Devonte Wyatt back on the field would have for the Packers defense. Let's see what number one here had to say old Micah Parsons about Devonte Wyatt.
It's a huge impact. I think he makes my life easier. He understands how to rush, how to play, his play style. I just think he brings guys along. His energy is contagious. He's such a standard in the room. You can tell he learned after some really good guys, and he just carries it with him every day. He has that G mentality, that dog mentality, and he's just fun to play with. How can you use those?
All right, so there you go.
They didn't even let Micah get past the loading dock. They just hit him with the the press corps right away. It sounded like he was didn't even make it to the locker room.
Absolutely, man. And again, I think what he's saying is true. However, I do want to say this, man. Devonte Wyatt, this defense has looked different since he's been out, right? So if you look at it from that standpoint, yeah, he makes a huge difference. I think we would all agree. However, if you look at some of the analytics, some of the grades and stuff, I really want to just point out that just because we're not getting the overall result in some of these games, like a dominant defensive performance, it doesn't mean these interior backups are playing bad. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Let me get to the super chat first. Celestial Prophet 2013 with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He said, just wanted to say, love the channel. Y'all always backing J Love, which is good to see. Keep up the great work. Thank you for the kind words there, Celestial Prophet. Appreciate it, buddy. Really, really do, man. You guys have no idea how much that means. Because, we're in here talking every day, and you get some knuckleheads that come through, right? And they just want to be negative. They want to troll, disagree on everything. But overall, man, the group that we've got in here is awesome. So I tell people when they first jump in, hey, love the channel, man, embed yourself in the chat on YouTube and come in to encourage and agree to disagree and all that, right? And It's just a really, really cool community, man. And it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the people that are watching the show. But we greatly appreciate that, man. Thank you for the kind words there, for sure. So here's what I wanted to point out, Tim. Devonte Wyatt. Let's talk from a PFF standpoint, and then we'll go to NFL Pro and look at some of the pressure percentage and some of the other analytics, okay? Devonte Wyatt's grading out as the 25th best interior defender. Now, you got to be careful with this because some of these guys, like Micah, for instance. Micah is listed as a linebacker for the Packers, okay? And the reason being is he's probably played standing up more than he has with his hand in the dirt. That's the only reason I can come up with. Plus, we play him in that joker spot, which is technically a 3-3-5 with an A-gap mug. And so he's listed as a linebacker. But you'll get some of these guys that are actually listed as an interior defender just because they're rushing on the inside more so. I wish they would separate it into defensive line, edge, and then and then linebacker. That's how I wish they would do it. And be aware that the guys, even though they're playing joker and kind of lining up in that A gap, they're still an edge defender. That's what they do, predominantly. So anyway, with that being said, there may be a couple of extra people in this grouping that's not actually interior defenders. Okay. But Devonte Wyatt's grading out as the 25th best interior defender in the National Football League right now, a 72.6 overall PFF grade. Okay. So his pass rush grade of a 79.2 is stout there as well. But Tim, what I want to point out, there's the coughs. Kobe Wooden, 18th now, bro, at a 73.8. And again, PFF isn't everything, but it just goes to show you Kobe Wooden kind of held his ground while Devonte Wyatt spent out. And you look at the score and you see that the defense maybe ain't performing as dominant as they were last year. So you think, oh, well, they're playing worse because Devonte Wyatt's out. Guys, that's a very, very, very casual way to fan. And you'll hear sports talk show hosts, they'll say that, well, this defense really struggles since they lost Devonte Wyatt. Okay, it appears that way, but let's look at the PFF grade. Well, PFF isn't everything. Right. Let's look at the NFL Pro data. Let's look at the pressure percentage. Let's watch the tape. And what we've seen on tape, Tim, Kobe Wooden playing like a madman. I'll tell you another one. Warren Brinson has really flashed, and that's caught me off guard because obviously we chose to kind of prop Nazir Stackhouse up in somewhat of a prominent role in the 53 and active pretty much every game day because he's that true nose build. But Warren Brinson's done pretty good, right? Carl Brooks hasn't been that bad. So PFF-wise, you've got two interior defensive tackles in the top 25, one of which, and Kobe Wooden, is grading out higher than Devonte Wyatt, man.
Yeah, and the other one hasn't played in 3 weeks, right? So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding right here. And, we can't say enough about Kobe Wooden. Matter of fact, everyone should just keep talking about him because he's been slept on for far too long. We saw flashes last season, and then going into camp this year, we saw him making strides. And, lo and behold, Heavy D goes down and, Kobe gets an opportunity to step up and fill in that gap, right? Next man up. And if you look at the numbers, at least PFF wise, he basically picked up right where Devonte left off.
Yes.
And, allowed us to continue to be a force to be reckoned with in the middle of that D line. And, like you said, we've had contributions from other guys as well. I think about Warren Brinson as well, a rookie that's the more playing time and more reps he gets, the better off he's going to be long term. But bottom line, we can't wait to see Devonte Wyatt back out there. And if that means Kobe Wooden gets less snaps, I'm sure he's prepared for that, and he's prepared to contribute every snap that he does get. And you got to tip your cap to him, man, really, because, we talked about these last couple of games kind of, not being as pretty as we wanted them to be. They could have been a hell of a lot worse if we didn't have the guys stepping up that did. So big shout out to Colby Wooden.
Yeah, Jen Wright says Wooden passes the eye test. He really does. And again, that's what I'm saying. If it was just PFF data and I'm watching the tape and going, it don't line up, that's not the case. Like, he's looked really, really good. He has. And it's kind of caught me off guard. The other thing I want to mention about Colby Wooden before we move on to NFL Pro is notice with Devonte Wyatt, his run defense grade, a 53.7. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Yeah, run defense grade is a 53.7, okay? And his pass rush grade is a 79.2. That's stout, right? But, leaves a little bit to be desired as a run defender. Colby Wooden is solid across the board, man. You're talking about 73.8, 67.5 run defense grade, 67.6 pass rush grade. And coverage grade, it don't matter. Every now and again, you may drop him off into some kind of fire zone blitz or something like that. But really, really impressive from those guys, right? Now, let's see.
Colby's barely 25, right? So the future looks bright, right? We've got somebody here possibly for the long run here.
So we've looked at that stat, right? Now let's cross-check it. Let's compare it to NFL Pro data, okay? So again, these are all of our defensive linemen. Now, NFL Pro puts all the defensive linemen together, edge and defensive tackle. So, and keep in mind, they've actually got, you won't see our boy Micah Parsons on this list because they've got him listed as a linebacker as well. I don't know how these people have just bottomless pockets to fund a project like a website like this and not even get the positions correctly. Is just mind-boggling to me. But anyway, let's just focus on the interior defensive lineman. So when we go quarterback pressure percentage, Tim, look who's leading the way. 11.8% is actually Warren Brinson. And I wanted to mention this too. With Colby Wooden, I wanted to say, he's got less snaps than Devonte Wyatt, so, take it with a grain of salt. That's not true. He's actually got significantly more snaps than Devonte Wyatt, so he's been tested quite often. However, Warren Brinson here, he's only played 49 snaps, but 11.8 pressure percentage is really, really impressive, man. He's also got 2 stops so far as well. Next, you've got Devonte Wyatt at 8% pressure. And again, this is GPS tracking. How close the defender gets to the ball before it comes out of the quarterback's hand is essentially how they track their pressures over this, way I understand it. And you can watch every pressure by clicking on that number too. Next, you've got Carl Brooks at 7.6%. And then Colby Wooden only at a 5.1%, Tim. So that's significantly lower than what you would think the PFF grade is. So if you take both and put them together, right, and kind of equal value, if you will, it kind of tells the story of Colby Wooden just kind of being somewhat stable. You want his pass rush to be better, obviously, but he's more of a run defender than a pass rusher, honestly. However, you remember the draw play they ran? I think it looked like a draw because he got in the backfield so quick. Remember that block shed he had and tackle for a loss in the last game against Arizona. So seems to be a little more stout against the run than the pass, although PFF had him pretty even across the board. And just wanted to point out that according to NFL Pro, Wyatt has 8% pressure rate right now. You want that up to about 10%, although on the interior, Tim, you don't really expect those guys to crack 10% much because there's some of them being asked to do the touch spy and kind of hold your gap and this and that, right? So it gets a little bit wonky in that regard. He does have 2 sacks too on only 100 whatever you call pass rushes. So I just wanted to cross-check that. What's your thoughts on that? I think it's pretty cool that Warren Brinson logging in at 11.8% there, man.
Yeah, I love it. And then just real quick, talking about Devonte Wyatt, 8%, if he's north of that and he's missed the last 3 weeks and he's still holding at that spot, I'll take it. I can't wait till he's back full strength. But looking at our rookies, between Brinson, Sorrell, and Nas Stackhouse, you see Nas Stackhouse is getting the bulk of the snaps here. I would fully expect that depending on how things shake up, we could see more of Warren Brinson and possibly more of Barron Sorrell as the weeks progress here, depending on how, guys look on that line. Again, Devonte Wyatt, we hope he's back, but again, we don't know. But a lot to be excited about, man. You've got Colby Wooden, like we just talked about, playing great. LVN, a bit of a question mark with that foot, so we can talk about the game that Kingsley and Igbari had last week, which I thought was great. Guys are stepping up, man. Next man up. We talked about these guys playing as a unit, playing for each other. We've had multiple guys down in all 3 phases of the game, special teams, offense, and defense. We've had major significant injuries, and whether it's a backup new kicker whether it's a defensive tackle, whether it's an edge guy, running back, whoever, somebody has stepped up and filled the void. And we've found a way to be here sitting with 4 wins and 1 loss, and we'll love it.
Yeah, definitely. We got Jacob joining us now. Jacob, I know you came in on the back side of this conversation. We were just talking about Devonte Wyatt being in full pads today. Yesterday, he was limited, was not in pads. Today, still limited, but in pads. And we were just kind of talking about potentially him playing Sunday night there against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got anything you want to add to that at all, man?
No, I mean, obviously it'd be nice to get him back in the rotation. I was listening to Micah's press conference on the way after work here, and he just reiterated how big of an impact player he is. Makes his job so much easier, makes the guys that he's playing next to on that D-line's job more easier. He said he's a hype man. He kind of brings the tenacity and the ferocity and all this kind of stuff. Really, he says, kind of gets the guys jacked up for getting them in the moment kind of thing. So the old tale that we've learned here in Green Bay is we don't want to force these guys back too early and then end up risking the further injury and having that extended. So if there's any sort of question as to that, I totally think that I'm cool with letting some of the younger guys. Really encouraging to see Brinson's numbers up there. Even guys like you just mentioned, Brooks and Wooden, have just, I believe, taken a massive step in their reliability and just them becoming professionals.
Yeah, definitely the DeMarcus Covington effect. You can just tell it's making an impact. So we got Emilio joining us now. Let's jump on to kicker talk here. Emilio, you doing okay, buddy? You all right, man?
Yeah. All I was going to add to that, the D-line talk, was Hafley was saying, at some point you're going to need to have depth. So at least right now with D Wyatt out, you get the extra reps for Brinson, for Wooden, for Stackhouse, like you're saying. Just get those reps. You see the guys getting better. You see them getting that actual playing time in the game. Once Wyatt comes back, all right, cool. Maybe you dial the snaps back. But again, later on in the year, you're probably going to need him again. We're probably going to have to lean on him. Who was the running back for our Super Bowl run? Horns up, baby, Starks. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't even plan for it. It just happens.
Absolutely, man. Jacob knows all about that. Anyway, let's move it along. His 1987 says, finally, kicker talk. That's right. Nobody even had a super chat for it either, man. How about that? Rob Domofsky had tweeted out a little update here from Rich Bisaccia on Brandon McManus, how he looked kicking today. Quote, we'll see how he feels tomorrow. It was good to see him out there kicking and feeling like he can complete practice. Okay. Now, when he first came out, he had this thing, had his leg wrapped, and then of course he took that off. I didn't see any video of him kicking. I combed through. Maybe I overlooked it. Here's a clip that Wes Hodkiewicz had tweeted out. I'll go ahead and just kind of let it roll here a little bit if I can get it muted. Brandon McManus right quad appears to be practicing today, but the Packers weren't kicking yet during portion of practice open to the media. So there you go. Devonte Wyatt was practicing in pads. We talked about that. No Dontavion Wicks or Lucas Van Ness. So you can pretty much write them off this week, I would imagine. However, Brandon McManus being out there, what do you think, guys? Do you think there's a realistic shot that Brandon McManus is going to play Sunday? Do you think they just move forward with Haversick one more time here? Obviously, there's nothing to this video, just them kind of lining up and going through the process a little bit. When he came out, though, Emilio, he had that quad wrapped up, right? Mm-hmm. And he took that wrap off. And, of course, the media, I guess, had to leave if he continued to kick outside. But I'm okay with Haversick. But I will say this, man. You guys know my brother was a big Steelers fan before he passed away. Watched a lot of Steelers games with him. Man, Acrisure, or I'm still going to call it Heinz Field.
Yeah.
It gets a little ugly in that open end, man. That wind is rough. So I would love to have McManus if he's 100%. The question is he going to be 100%, right?
Yeah, cold and windy over there. New turf probably as well. So and then Matt was saying, I'm pretty sure Pitt has a home game there Saturday. So it's going to get beat up a little bit. What's the footing like? Do you want to push that? And I'm sure it'll be a game time decision for him. But I just love Rich at the end. Turns it right after the snap. He turns around, looks right at the camera. Yep, that's all you guys are getting. And all right, huddle up, everybody. Good job. So
Brandon was 10 of 10 after the camera shut off.
Absolutely. I good kicker problem. Yeah. If he's still a little hurt, let's play it safe for another week, man.
Yeah, I think it just becomes a roster spot concern, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you suit 2 up for a game? Can you hold 2 spots? I think it's McMoney's spot to lose. Obviously, you're going to trust the veteran. That's why we extended him. That's why he's here. He alluded to having a similar issue with the quad on the kicking leg, I believe, when he kicked I think it was when he was with Denver. So he's played through stuff like this before. You want to give him every opportunity to go out there and, make some field goals for you. But Havokick is looking good. I'm sorry, Haversick. I call him Havokick. Havokick's been looking good. So, like Emilio said, it's a good problem to have, right? I mean, either way, if we're going to put a 80% Brandon McManus out there or 100% Haversick out there, I'm happy either way. Let's just hope the field holds up. I tell you, the surface at Pittsburgh is not going to look as clean as Ray Nitschke Field surface right there in this clip. Right. For sure.
Next time the reporters are there, I want to know what are we cutting that thing at, Tim? I mean, that's got to be 1.5 inches, maybe 1.25 inches. It's just crispy.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the grounds crew. Man, they're phenomenal over there.
Jacob, you got anything you want to add to the kicker talk here, sir? I know you're the kicker expert here.
Yeah, definitely the expert. I just love Deadfish comment. He goes, "How big is 19?" I believe that's Waylon, right? He is a big boy. Isn't he like 6'6" or something? Even maybe a little tad.
I thought he was 6'5", I thought, but I do know this. For a punter, his RAS, relative athletic score, is in like the upper 9s. There it is. Yeah.
We'll take it.
And again,
in case we need a 5th or 6th string tight end, we got one. You never know.
And you know the long snapper, Orsic just loves the fact that he's that tall. Like you can't miss that cat with a snap, right?
Yep.
Love to see it. All right, let's just jump into the rest of the injury report, and we'll move along real quick. Give you an update on everything else. So, Aaron Banks, Anthony Belton, and Nate Hobbs all full participation. So Anthony Belton will be back this week. That's really exciting. Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney, both limited. Brandon McManus went from did not participate Wednesday to limited. That was planned. He was going to kick anyway, right? Jordan Morgan, good to go. Zach Tom, limited. He'll be good to go. Lucas Van Ness did not participate. He'll be out, I believe. Quay Walker, full participation. Christian Watson, limited, along with Evan Williams and Devonte Wyatt. And then Dontavion Wicks did not participate with the cap. So, again, I think that's pretty straightforward. The people that did not participate, I think they're going to be out this week. I really do. So, is there anything else you guys want to add to that side of the injury report before we move on? Good?
I just think it's great to have Belton back. Just have a little bit more, I guess, that offensive line. I just want him to find some continuity and have a sturdy, rotation of backups that we can trust. I'd like to figure out a way where we can keep guys in single positions and not moving them all over that line. Give them a chance to get comfortable, to play next to guys that they're comfortable playing with. I think having him back in the mix is a big deal.
Yeah, I'm all for it, man. Let's take the Escalade out to Pittsburgh. Get a dub. I love it. Gives us a little bit more depth. That kind of offensive line's been kind of shaky as far as availability, not as far as play. I think guys are doing what they can out there, but getting a consistent line together is something that's just kind of happened these last couple of weeks. So the more depth we can have there, I'm happy. And then I would agree with Clay. I think Tay Wicks, LVN are definitely out for sure. Possibly another name on this list, like a McMoney, like we just talked about. But good to see Nate Hobbs went from limited to full. That's a good sign as well on this report.
Yep. Not too worried about the knee. Matt was saying that they don't expect to see Wicks out there for practice this week. So yeah, that's right there with y'all. Let's just keep him move on. And
right on time, right? Scoop might come back,
And that's the crazy thing. Like when we started the season, we had 3 or 4 people on the sideline when we were playing our preseason games, and we get a couple healthy, then another one goes down, then you get somebody back, and it's going to be like that the whole year. Just a perfect rotation somehow. It's all timed up right. But excited about the list getting a little bit shorter.
Almost as if it really makes sense what Goody did to load up this receiver room. When you look at the revolving door of injuries that come with playing in the NFL, it's good to have the depth in the receiver room that we have.
Yeah, definitely. Last one here. Caldwell Corner says, I can't remember. Was Wicks a calf in training camp as well? I can't remember either, Caldwell. Yep. I can't. I'm trying to think if it definitely was him. Is that right?
I believe it. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it wrapped up during camp, and I think he had an ankle off and on too as well. I'm not sure if it's the same leg, but he's been dealing with the nagging calf issue since I believe OTAs.
Got it. And on Pittsburgh's side, man, this took a little bit of a turn here. We're talking about potentially getting Devonte Wyatt back, Jacob. And notice Zach Frazier, their starting center. He's got a calf injury. Wednesday he was limited. Thursday, today, did not participate. So he's trending towards maybe not playing unless they just said, all right, we've seen enough. Let's sit you out until game time. That could be the case too. But if they're down their starting center, Zach Frazier, with Devonte Wyatt potentially coming back, that could spell some serious pressure up the middle on Aaron Rodgers. As we all know firsthand, the way you play Aaron Rodgers is 2-man under and make him run you out of that 2-man under. If they stick with the pass and 2-man under and you get pressure in his face, you can make it a long day for old Aaron Rodgers. However, Zach Frazier ain't in there, Jacob. That kind of perks me up a little bit, man. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Frazier, one of the best young, talented centers in the league. I believe me and Tim, I thought, had high draft grades on him. Definitely one of the guys that I would have liked to see in green and gold. However, now he's in the opposite side of the spectrum this week. Like to your point, man, and what better way to kind of get Rodgers frazzled if he doesn't have a consistent center? We've seen how that can sometimes mess up his kind of cadence, the way that he likes to have the ball snapped, breaking the huddle, the whole 9 yards, his hard count, everything can affect that. To go back again to Micah Parsons, they asked, when you go against a guy like Rodgers, what do you have to do? Because he's seen everything. He goes, I got to get in his face. And if he can get in his face with the help of Devonte Wyatt in the middle, him coming off the edge, forcing Rodgers to step up, as much as I love Rodgers' play, the old man can't really move around in the pocket the way he used to. He's got a little hitch in his giddy up. You know what I mean? Kind of like when the girls get old, I got to retire them. But, it's going to be an interesting matchup. And I think that a lot of people overlook the importance of a center. I know that I was one of those people until I got involved with this podcast and realized that it really is kind of the second quarterback of that defense, calling out certain protections, alerting, obviously, the quarterback of certain situations where they got to get the snap off quick. Having that consistent camaraderie is, I think, really underrated when you start missing a guy like Zach Frazier.
Jacob, do y'all have a pup list over at the club?
Yeah, it's kind of the same as the do not enter list. I don't want them ratchet girls coming in here if they can't work the pole. You know what I mean?
Do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
That's right, Coach.
I got a business to run. Say a charity. Although
Scared money don't make money.
Charity is on IR, just in case you guys were wondering.
That's the best drop of the night right there. Scared money don't make money.
Talks.
Said, Jacob, I got to call in tonight. Scared money don't make money. Get in here. All right, so there you go. There's your Steelers injury list. I don't see anything else here, Emilio. Do you, man? Everything looks kind of, obviously you got a couple of veteran rest players, but I think everybody's pretty much good to go there. Other than, like I said, Zach Frazier is what really sticks out.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see game time, man.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move it along. Let's talk a little Micah Parsons here, boys. So listen, I know Ryan Wood posting these videos. Shout out to him, doing a great job giving us all the details, all the insight behind the scenes on X. His videos, for whatever reason, they come through like echoey. Almost, I don't know, it's like a double feed or something. So there's nothing we can do about it. I apologize, but he's got some great clips here I want to share with you guys. This was Micah Parsons at his locker, or outside of the locker room maybe. And he said, if the Steelers double team Micah Parsons more than the Cardinals, he says they'll have to find him first. Goal is to always find those 1-versus-1s. Joker one, like we talk about, right? Which is why he moves around, right? So let's see what Micah had to say about this.
I expect double teams everywhere. There's a plan for those. I feel like double teams is what it is, but I think that I have a good plan of rushing inside, outside. I kind of pretty much play every spot across the line. So, I make it hard. They're gonna double team. They gotta find me. I ain't gonna make it easy for them.
Have you ever had fewer single team blocks in a game than what you had last week? Is that a career low?
My rookie year.
Yeah.
My rookie year. And then they found out.
It's the most 1-versus-1s he's had since his rookie year, and he said they found out. So, again, we talked about this. If you guys watch Chalk Talk with us, we mentioned Joker 1, right, Tim? We talk about it all the time. That's where they'll take Micah and line him up in the A gap, and they'll show a 3-man front. So essentially, it's a nickel 3-3-5, but it's a Joker 1. So technically, the mock backer in that would be Micah Parsons, although we all know he's rushing the passer, and that's why we specify Joker 1 or Joker 52 like we did last year with when they would have Gary do it. So what he's talking about there obviously is creating those 1-versus-1 matchups. Man, this is another example. We talked about Devonte Wyatt lining up over a potential backup center if Zach Frazier don't play. Imagine Micah Parsons coming out and lining up in that Joker spot, because we've seen the Cardinals starting center struggle with that Joker 1 as well.
Absolutely. That's going to be the key right there. Like to Jacob's point about getting a little pressure to Aaron there. We know he can diagnose the defense, but you get pressure in his face. He's going to be able to step up in that pocket, but I don't think he's the threat to run like he used to be, to Jacob's point. So if we can get that pressure there, and we saw, how Micah did last week, against a number one center, let alone a backup. And I'm sure there'll be some, communications things and stuff that Aaron's going to work on with a backup center out there in the game. So the more pressure you can put on that guy or those two guys in the middle, the better off you're going to be. I will say this, though, it's going to come down to our linebacker play, regardless of, if we're in those joker looks or not. It's going to be on Quay and Coop and, Zay McDuffie and those guys to, really be stout there in the middle because, if Aaron does step up and extend the play, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared to cover, or you got to be prepared to get home on that tackle because he'll make you pay. We've seen it for the better part of 18 years with Aaron Rodgers before, so we can't take that for granted at all.
Yeah, Jacob, PFF put this out, man. Micah Parsons has 4 games with a 90-plus pass rush grade this season. No other player has more than 2. So starting in week 1, 73.9. Then he jumped to a 90.6, 90.9, 94.3, back down to a 74.8, back down to a 74.8. Doesn't that just sound crazy, right? Yeah. And then back up to a 92.9. Micah Parsons dominating, dude. What do you think about him here going up against Pittsburgh? Because Aaron, listen, Jacob, Aaron knows where number 1 is all night long. He's going to look to get that ball out of his hand real quick. It's can the secondary create just enough time for Micah to get in there and get to number 8? Or do you think Aaron will be able to carve it up that way, man? What do you think?
Kind of to my earlier point, I think that like Parsons knows that Rodgers is great and that he's basically seen every single trick, that the defense could try to throw at him in the book. On the opposite side, Rodgers knows Parsons is unbelievable, and he has to absolutely watch him like a heat-seeking meat missile that he is, which to the previous segment here, being able to move him around interchangeably and almost kind of scarily to the point where he can line up on the right edge, float over to the left edge, drop back into a linebacker coverage, start touching the spine, doing all that stuff, and then all of a sudden he's shooting the center, the A gap, right? So like he's going to be playing. It's going to be a very interesting game of chess to see how these guys kind of play off each other. Again, we have to, if the center's gone, that's a whole new wrench in those spokes there. But how incredible is it that, a guy came in and honestly, we're talking about how his off days are 73 and 74. And that's in his first game when he comes here with no conditioning, lack of complete knowledge of the playbook. He'd probably tell you he knew 80%. Even if he does, that's incredible. I think, in my opinion, that he comes in and has his quote unquote worst game is a 73 in the pass rush. I mean, you talk about getting what you paid for. That is exactly what I expected when we were going to sign Micah Parsons, throw a bunch of bag at him. He comes in. He's been nothing but a consummate pro. He's been, even today when they asked him, like, do you think you're 100% now? And he goes, yeah, but Halfley keeps throwing more stuff in the playbook. So I learn the most stuff every week. And he said that we can always get better. Always get better. I'm never going to max out and say that I've reached my potential, which I just love that mentality about him. It just, to me, screams that he is, again, an absolute pro. Can I pose a question real quick through JJ McQuaid? He says Parsons needs this helmet screen so he's not face mask all the time. He meant visor. He is. Do you think that would actually help? I mean, I don't see a lot of them necessarily grabbing the face mask. I feel like that's an easier call to get. But would it help maybe slide?
Yeah, I know he switched face masks, I believe, last week, and I think he does have a clear lens on one of those.
I mean, what I'm seeing him going underneath the chin the most, right? That's what I'm seeing the most. So
we need to get him a full cage.
Is it illegal to use some of the Vaseline I got at the baby oil I got back at the club? Can we give that to him? Like, literally, I'm not even joking. Is he allowed to lube up like the outsides of his helmet / chin strap?
No, Diddy, I don't think he is. All right. I don't think they allow that, just like they don't allow Stickum, and just like they don't allow the pitchers to, how many times a pitcher gets thrown out because he got the tackiness on the wrist or, behind the ear, on the neck, like the Yankee did several years ago. It was shining, boy. It looked like a freshly shined shoe, right? And he kept going to his neck and, grabbing that ball and gripping the ball. And finally the ump walked over and was like, "You got on your neck." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And it's national TV. It's shining like crazy. got some kind of rosin or something. I can't remember what it was on his neck, but anyway, yeah, no, baby oil is not allowed other than Hollywood.
Well, I'm pro lube. All right, I'm going there.
That's terrible.
Right. So, Emilio, I want to ask you about this, Emilio. Ryan will put another tweet out. I'm not going to play the audio because it is, like I said, bad quality, but he said, ask Micah Parsons what's the biggest concern defending Aaron Rodgers. Quote, I would say don't let Rodgers get to his spot. When he's in sync, it's like poetry. Every throw is on the money. Everything has in sync. You have to find ways to disrupt the tendencies, disrupt the spot, right? And I think that goes on the backside too, Emilio, with the secondary. But I love what he's saying there, right? Don't let him get in rhythm. I think we really got to move Micah Parsons around like we've been talking about.
Yeah, and Hafley was saying that. He goes, I want him to kind of be all over. I don't want him to, be stuck in one spot. And I like that he's not just keeping him at edge, right? And I think he was saying it'd do him a disservice if we just kept him in one spot and they knew where he was coming from every time. So I think that's a benefit to Haf, that he has the ability to move him around. We saw a lot of that in Chalk Talk, that 3-3-5, like we were saying, and you see the benefits of that. Sometimes you can loop him. He can, jab. He can drop still. I mean, the dude's still an athlete. He can drop into coverage. So maybe they're worried about him, and you drop him, because it was either DJ or Greg Cosell saying that the Steelers really like to run that against Myles Garrett, really like to run that forehand mentality. So it's always going to be a tackle and a tight end, or a tackle and a running back. They want forehands on Myles Garrett, or, same superstar would be Micah Parsons. And I think that that's going to be, most of the game. So if you're sitting him on the edge, they can really kind of plan that out. You get him inside, move him around. He jumps around with, 3 seconds left on the play clock. They're kind of screwed. So I think that we can see a lot of that. And dude's just a freak. I just want to see him keep using it like that.
I would agree with that, because, like if Mike is coming off the edge, Rodgers, they're going to boot action away from that, right? Mm-hmm. Or he's going to check to something away from that pressure, or at least know where that pressure is going to be. So it says a lot to move him around, like you said, man. If you've got him firing from the middle, possibly dropping back into coverage, that's how you can kind of, do your best to get, Rodgers and that Pittsburgh offense off their rhythm, because that's a huge part of it, right? Aaron's going to find those reads in time. If he knows he can't get to the third read, he's going to hit the first or the second. So we got to do our best to make him uncomfortable back there.
And you can sugar late, maybe, because they were saying, I don't know how much can you beat a quarterback that's seen it all, right? What if you're in 3-3-5, but Mike is actually still at stack, and with like a second left, he's walking down to the line, or he's looping around, jumping around, and that's just something to try to get a hand over, a veteran that knows basically the whole game, right?
Right.
Do you think, to that point, Emilio, that he could try, like, to your point, that kind of delayed, I would hate saying a delayed blitz, but knowing that Rodgers likes to use that clock, and he likes to take it down sometimes, and he likes to try to take advantage of the defense being in bad situations, do you think you could try to flip that script and really, it is going to be a really fun chess game to watch how these two guys absolutely battle each other.
I'm hoping so, because they were asking Micah, what do you think about that? Are you able to get past a veteran quarterback? Are you able to scheme something up? He goes, oh, yeah, definitely. But it's just got to happen, right? We got to force him to take those check downs. We need to be able to, keep everything underneath. So I really am excited for Micah and what Hafley can kind of put together this game.
Yeah. We always talk about how Hafley's good at, like, pre-snap looks being different post-snap. It's almost like you have to take it a step further against an Aaron Rodgers offense, and you've got to give them sugar upon sugar and show them something pre-snap at the last second, just to, make them see what you want him to see. Kind of use that expertise against them.
Did you guys?
Another way of doing that, Tim, is totally the opposite approach. Is you show a too high show all day long and do a late rotation. So when he comes to the line, he's trying to read what you got here. He can't read the rat defender. He can't tell which safety's rotating down. You come out and you show a too high shell. The problem is you got a light box, a light run fit, and you got to make sure your safety can get down there. I think both X and Evan Williams can get down there. And again, all those years watching Aaron play, his kryptonite was 2-man under. Now, 2-man under. Well, now, if you do a 2-man under with a spur in the box, like you bring a McKinney or Evan Williams in the box pre-snap and then have him bail out, I feel like that's the right answer. 2-man under that way you got that extra defender in there with the run fit, because if they run you out of 2-man under, That's how you can get you out of that defense, right? So 2-man under simply being, guys, 2 deep safeties, man coverage across the board, underneath leverage is what you're playing, right? The corners are playing press man, taking everything underneath away while they got safety help over the top. And that's why Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson started hammering that back shoulder play, because that's how you play that. When they're playing 2-man under, it's typically inside leverage a little bit, and then you hit that backside, that back shoulder fade. It's hard to defend that when you're on the same page. But go ahead, Jacob. What are you going to say?
No, I just thought it was interesting. I don't know if you guys saw when they asked Micah Parsons, what was your, I can't remember how they worded it, but basically, what are you most impressed with Aaron Rodgers' game? And he went and said he's a good teammate and he's a good, dude, basically. I love the way he said, I love the way he carries himself, and I love the way that he interacts with his teammates, which was just that certain media organizations that made him just go, when he answers that way. He said he respects him as a player, as a man. So I really do think that there's going to be a healthy level of respect from both sides of the ball. But, man, you see a guy that's in his absolute prime, a guy that's probably past it a little bit, but can still be so smart because he is the quarterback, the general, the field general of this game. It's just I tell you what, man, for a Sunday night football game, I don't think I've been more excited for one in a long, long time.
It'll be awesome, dude. Again, I know there's some fans that are dreading it. Typically, the fans that are dreading it are the ones that ran Rodgers' name through the mud for the last 2 years. He's washed up. He sucks. He blah, 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 blah. And now they're going, crap. Mm-hmm. He might come. We might get our butts kicked by him on Sunday, right? I don't feel like that. I think we're the better football team. I would pick Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers right now, right? Obviously not in their prime. Aaron's one of the greatest to ever do it if they were both in their prime. But I do feel like Jordan is playing better football than Aaron right now. But Aaron, don't get me wrong, is still playing really good football. He really is. So
I feel like the team whose defense shows up the most is going to win the game on Sunday.
Yep.
It's really how I feel.
I tell you what I come down to here, Tim. I think we're 3-point favorites right now. And you guys know it's on the road, so take that however you want. Does that mean we're true 6-point favorites? Does it mean it's closer to 4.5? Whatever. If this thing comes down to a field goal, and it's Haverstick on one side and Boswell on the other, sorry, I love my Packers. Boswell's one of the best in the game. So just know this: anytime they line up to kick a field goal, and you see Boswell run out there, just know it's probably going through the upright. So with that being said, I think it's going to be a 1-turnover game. One turnover, one different, turnover differential point is going to decide this ball game, because I do think they have the edge in the kicking game right now. Although Haverstick been perfect up to this point. So that's what I was thinking about earlier, Tim, is just kind of Boswell's a weapon, man. He's
they get the ball near the logo. He's in range. You have to consider that, and then again, being at home. However, we saw Haverstick's got the leg.
So I was gonna say, he's booting 61 yarders.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we saw it. That's good, but can you do it day in, day out like we've seen Boswell do for the better part of a decade here almost? So
can you do it with that wind whipping over that mountain right over the river?
Right.
That's the thing.
It's like the opposite of Lambeau. They don't really get the swirls there. It's like a gust. They get the gust towards it. Yep.
Yeah, Emilio's been drunk on the riverbank a couple times.
Oh, yeah, it's windy up there, trust me.
So, again, last thing we'll hit on Micah Parsons here before we wrap up that segment. Micah Parsons is currently in the lead according to PFF Betting. NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He's a plus 180. The closest one to him is Aiden Hutchinson at a plus 320. Nick Bonito, plus 450. Myles Garrett, plus 700. Will Anderson, plus 1,000. Jared Verse, plus 2,000. And a player we're going up against this weekend, guys, TJ Watt's all the way down to a plus 2,500 now. So not having a great year after getting the bag. So, again, let us know in the comments what you think about Micah Parsons. If you're watching this video back later, let us know, how do you think they should deploy him? How do you think they should attack the Steelers offense in that regard? And that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour two. We're going to talk a little DB room. Jeff Hafley spoke on that a little bit. And then if we have time, we'll get into the PFF preview as well. We'll see you over there.